Don't have short memory. As Mahama tells us, Ghanaians are discerning no matter where one comes from, whether from Mampong in Ashanti region, whether from Otafu in the Ashanti region, whether from Ketu North in Volta region, Salt Point in the Central region, Takwa in the Western region, Karachi in the OT region, Goso in the Ahafo region. Know that we are one people. Ghana is the only country we have. My name is Vincent Eko Asifo Jr. and I'm the host for this show, Majority Caucus on Joy TV. We are also live on all NPP social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and rest today. We will be discussing the just ended new voters registration and John Mahama's hate for vote speech and tribal politics. When we come back, I will introduce my guest for today. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Majority Caucus. My name is Vincent Eko Asifo Jr. I have some sound bites that I want to show to the Ghanaian public. Stay tuned. You are most welcome. At this juncture, I will introduce my guest for today. He is no other person than the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, John Boadu. One thing that I will have to put on record is that John, credible voters register for me is synonymous to a credible, transparent, free and fair elections. In fact, it is indeed the bedrock of every successful elections that you can have across the country. Since 2013, it has been the NPP's position that we need to have a new voters register. In 2015, we drummed home the same position. In 2016, we did same. And by God's grace, in 2018, 2019, thereabout, we had the same position from the Electoral Commission that we are now going to have a new voters registration. Is the party vindicated after all?
Yeah, thank you very much. Good evening to our viewers. I think that the party over the years, not even starting from 2013, if you look at election history, we are the party that always have proposed reforms that bring efficiency and credibility and integrity into our election process. We used to have a situation where opaque ballot boxes were used in voting in this country. We used to have a situation where when you vote at the polling station, it is not counted, it is taken elsewhere. We used to have a situation where as late as the year 2000, when a lot of money has been spent by government and other donor agencies to register, to get people voter ID card. It was at that time that the NDC felt that people living in rural areas are unfit for them to have picture ID card. So in this country of ours, people living in rural areas were having thumbprint ID card, yes, whilst people living in cities were given a picture ID card. Right. Even that, the NDC themselves went to court to insist that the voter ID card that we spent so much money in putting it up or compiling, right, should not be the basis to allow anybody to vote. Right. And strangely enough, the court agreed with them that the argument was that they have about some 3 million people somewhere in villages that were not able to get ID card, they were not able to get a picture ID card. Right. We've moved fast track from that, we get to 2004, where an entirely new register was done with picture ID card for everybody. In addition to that, the register itself contained pictures of registrants and will-be voters.
Right.
We used it 2004, used it 2008. We got to a point that we realized that the system that we were using was obsolete. The system we were using was not up to scratch. Right. So in 2012, we all decided to do a biometric registration to ensure that our votes are like we go through the process electronically, verify before we vote. We even pushed in the year 2012 that there should be no verification, no votes. Mm. Our brothers and sisters on the other side kicked against that.
Right.
And we all saw what happened that led to the long stay in court for close to 7 months.
Right.
Since then, and from what happened in court, we realized that the register was defective. We realized that the register was not fit for purpose. We pushed through demonstration, agitation, and also arguing that the register needs to be changed. Right. The then Electoral Commission put together an eminent panel led by VRAC CRAB. They noticed after the extensive discussion, listening to views, collating views from all political parties, ended up concluding that yes, they agreed that the register was bloated. Yes, they agreed that the register contains a lot of minors, close to 150,000. They agreed that the register contains dead people that we've not been able to have effective way of expunging their names from the register. Right. They also agree that the register contains a lot of minors. Right. In their view, it will have been difficult for the Electoral Commission to then do a new register. So they even suggested that per the suggestion of the Electoral Commission, they were going to ask people to bring obituaries of their dead relatives. Yeah, their dead relatives and all that. You remember it was around that time that we had the Supreme Court mandating the Electoral Commission to remove those who registered with NIA. By what they did, they couldn't even finish that exercise. You understand? Based on that, which is a consistent position that the New Patriotic Party has taken over the period, till 2016, 2017, the Electoral Commission realized that, one, those suppliers, those managing their biometric system, their contract has come to the end. They were not ready to renew it. They themselves have said through correspondence with the Electoral Commission that their machines have reached its end of year, end of life. Their machines are obsolete. They need to buy entirely new BRVs for the system, and that it will be difficult for them to operate. Right. Assessing this information from their internal IT team and their consultant, they realized that refurbishing the already existing machines, considering what their consultants are telling them and the internal IT people are telling them, will be quite expensive, very, very expensive, and they will not have value for money. So they decided that they want to do a new register.
So I want to find out, what is the significant difference between the old voters register and the new voters register? By that I mean, what makes it so different from what we used to have?
First of all, what we must recognize is that by doing a new register in itself have eliminated close to 3 million people who are unqualified, who have been on the register.
Close to 3 million
Close
people.
to 3 million. The reason for that is that the 2019 register, the total number of registrants on the register is 16.85 million.
That is for the 2019?
For the 2019, 16,845,420. Right. Then the Electoral Commission had also, for which all political parties are aware, had quarantined 7 797,493 people as a result of...
For the purposes of our viewers, what do we mean by quarantine?
Quarantine. What they've done is that they've put them under some attention.
Right.
That they registered either double or multiple registration. So, and they are on the section list.
Right.
Such people are unable to vote.
Right.
You understand? Because they've not been able to peg themselves, so
Absolutely.
to speak. So if you look at just that, those on the register and those who have been quarantined, that alone is 17.6 million people.
Right.
If the Electoral Commission had decided not to do anything,
right,
and will have followed what they normally do by doing a limited registration exercise, their estimate was that they were going to register, conservative figure, about 2 million to add on.
Right.
So that would have led to close to 19.6 million people on the register.
Right.
Assuming the Electoral Commission didn't do anything.
Right.
For the Electoral Commission's decision to do the registration, as we speak now, per the 5th August or the 6th August, the total number of people that registered was close to 16.7.
That is without the mop-up.
Without the mop-up.
Right.
If you add the mop-up, plus or minus, let's say it's 17 million.
Right.
What it means is that we've been able to eliminate, as per the VRAC CRAB committee report, that says that close to 580,000 people are dead, but their names are still there. Foreigners have their names there. Minors found their names there. It means that by effective work that they've done, and I'm commending them also because this registration exercise was very transparent.
So in effect, the MPP has been vindicated.
We have more than been vindicated in this matter.
Because the numbers, or the anticipated numbers, were supposed to be about 20 million or 19.6 million as per the calculation that you have just given. And as we speak, without the mop-up, the Electoral Commission has been able to register about 16.6 million or so. So clearly the MPP government has been vindicated. I wanted to put that point across for the Ghanaian public to also understand.
I think that is something that the credit must go to all well-meaning Ghanaians of this country, the media, stakeholders, and all other people who saw reason to stand and support the view of the MPP. Because if you remember, the eminent advisors to Electoral Commission put together a meeting that brought together all political parties, close to 21 political parties. If all the political parties, majority of them, had not sided with the New Patriotic Party, it would have been very difficult to give the Electoral Commission the moral right and the authority to go ahead with the registration. And the recommendation of the eminent advisors will have been different. So credit goes to all of them. Credit goes to all of them. But for the few who, for whatever reason, may have some reason for us to maintain an old register, in the face of all this explanation, they move from one reason to the other. They move from one reason to the other to the extent that they have to find shelter in COVID-19. Meanwhile, you've been against a new register right from 2013. Your challenge against the petition brought against the presidency of John Mahama was to say that the register was okay. To the extent that even the VRAC CRAB's committee, the NDC forcefully pushed that there's no need for a new register. You understand? So with all these things, I think that credit goes to the good people of this country. I'm happy that eventually John Mahama has come to a position in acknowledging that this exercise has been very successful. And that he should have ended there. The other reason that he gave was the fact that normally when we want to do a new register, we have to do a census. I don't think that is neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. Because for every nation, you can decide to postpone when you want to do a census. But can we decide to postpone election in December?
That's not possible.
Can we decide to postpone close to 3 million people that will have found its way in this region? See, I think that we need to also make this point. That it is not, and sometimes I listen to so-called specialists and consultants, and I laugh. They make the point that, oh, if even people are dead and they are on the register and their name has not been expunged, they won't wake up on election day to vote. This is a very naive way of thinking, because what occasions overvoting?
Right.
The moment there's an opportunity of people who are not available to vote,
right,
that gives adventurous people, that gives people who want to cheat, the opportunity to stuff ballots, particularly in their strongholds. So I think that they need to get it straight. I think that it is important that we commend the Electoral Commission. It is important that we note this. And also state, over the period, the kind of things that the NDC did, that if we had not stood strong against them, we'll have plunged this nation into some difficulties and some problems that we will never will have resurrected from it.
Right. We are going to show a regional summary on your screens for us to have a better appreciation of the just ended voters registration. And clearly you could see that the 2020 register is similar in number to the 2019 register. And the limited registration would have exceeded more than 18 million. And today when I listened to the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, the calculations were supposed to be around 19.6. Greater Accra shows that shows the largest growth, and also some growth in the central region, Savannah, Bunu East, Upper East, and the Northeast region. And more specifically, you could see that in the Western region, in 2019, the voters registered, as the numbers, was about 1.1 million 60,462. Now, fast forward in 2020, the figure is about 1,167,210. Now, when you look at Western North, you could also see that the figure is about 531,709. Now, in 2020, the number reduced from the 531,000 to 463,755. Now, you check the central region, you could also see that the numbers was about 1,530,357. Just an insignificant increase to about 1,563,421. Now, in the Greater Accra, which recorded the highest number of registrants, in 2019 was about 3.2 million to 20,980. Now, in 2020, you could see that about 3,504,000 people, 494 registering in the Greater Accra region. General, I'm going to also show the table that shows how in our border constituencies the numbers miraculously reduced from the figures that we had in 2019 and 2020. Now, I think that you may also have to make your table also ready. Maybe you may have to go through. Now, if you check the border constituencies, and that seemed to corroborate the MPP's position that indeed the voter register has been bloated. And if you check that, I can see that on the bigger screen here. Most of the constituencies, General, you could see a greater reduction in the numbers. As to why or how the numbers reduce, we are unable to answer. I think that the MPP may have a position on that, General.
I think that it's very significant for us to note that trend that we are seeing in constituencies in border areas. Not only for the fact that there are constituencies that we suspect, and with close vigilance and attention by the party, we've been able to reduce the numbers. It's about the difference in parliamentary elections.
Okay.
Well, you see a constituency like our win in 2000 and
our win is a border constituency.
It's a border constituency. Right. 2016. The difference between the parliamentary candidate of the NDC and MPP was just 47. 47. So it is 47 that is sending the NDC candidate to Parliament. As we speak now, they had 80,328 on the register. By the time that we are compiling it before the mop-up, The total number is 69,581.
A whooping reduction of about
a whooping reduction of close to 10,747.
Right.
Close to 13.40%.
Right.
If you take a constituency like Doma West.
Doma West, in the Bono region.
In the Bono region. It was 26,251. It has been reduced now to 21,139. Almost close to 19.50% reduction, which is very great. If you take Doma Central, it's the same, 18.70 reduction. If you take
it's important that we mention the figures in bits for the Ghanaian people to have an appreciation of how the numbers have been able to reduce from
so if you take Doma Central, for instance, you have 63,155 in the year 2019. Today, we have 51,343, a reduction of 11,812. 18.70%
reduction.
If you take a constituency like Buem, which used to have 63,898,
right?
As we speak now, it is 51,085, a reduction of 12,809, 20% reduction.
Right.
20%.
Huge numbers.
If you take Boko Central, I know Boko Central shares a border with Burkina Faso.
Yes.
If you take Boko Central, it used to be 69,849. Now we are having 58,541, a reduction of close to 11,308. If you take Puziga, it's the same. If you take Chanapaga, and these are the constituencies, if you monitor very well, they are the constituencies that most of party people on the ground were having issues with people who were registering.
Right.
And these are the constituencies that NDC were encouraging and motivating people to go and register. And I can assure you that as we go on, this nebulous thinking that, and just as John Mama said, that our borders are just an artificial boundary. It is not true. Yes, it is true that in some cases it is only a footpath that separates one country from the other. It is also true that some Ghanaian may have a farm in Togo. It is also true that Ghanaian may marry a Togolese and all that. But they themselves living there knows who is a Togolese, knows who is a Ghanaian. Said that if they are voting in Togo, the Ghanaian Evers don't go and vote in Togo.
Right.
If it's just an artificial point, why don't the Ghanaian Evers go to Togo and vote? Look at Akachi North, and it is instructive to note the rate of the reduction. Akachi North, you have
in the Volta region.
In the Volta region, you need to have 72,775. As we speak now, it is 64,633, a reduction of 11.20. I was in Akachi North, a polling station that shares a border with Togo. Can you believe that the NDC, when they were in power, their MCU constructed a road to Togo?
Really?
The little scanty, scarce resources that we have. Because it's a place that they use to come and register and vote in elections. He went ahead to construct a road to Togo. And at the polling station that we were, 60% of those who sell at the polling station are Togolese. And they were insisting to register. Our agents kicked against it. Can you believe that we have to even bring people from Togo to stand at the borders to identify Togolese who want to enter to come and register? And for some of these Togolese, they think that it is normal. I've been voting here all the time. I set healthcare system here. My children go to free SHS here. Why are you now preventing me from voting or registering? You see, it is something that I think that this exercise have opened a lot of eyes. It is something that this exercise has also reduced drastically the cheating that used to go on in our areas that we have borders with our neighboring countries. I think that it's important that this fact is recognized. And sometimes it's amazing to note, but it is not surprising that NDC will never kick against foreigners trying to vote. We are in Bunkrubu, and our party had organized the youth. They've been able to, all the border towns, get our youthful people to man the border towns. Can you believe that the people that were prevented from coming, the Togolese that were prevented from coming to register, had the audacity and the effrontery to tell our people that if they continue to challenge them, they will come and burn their houses?
That there's no law, no laws in this country.
Because they don't see why they want to come and vote in Ghana, and we are saying we'll not allow them. So in such situation, don't you have to have security people involved? Don't Absolutely. You have to have security people protect the people who are bona fide of our country? You understand? So this occasion a lot of the, apart from the fact that they were there before the COVID situation, apart from the fact that after COVID, their numbers were increased, apart from the fact that they had different assignments, they have a responsibility of also protecting lives and property of our own people. So I strongly believe that we have done so well for ourselves as a country. Other than that, we will have had a register that is 2/3 of the entire population. Where in the world can you have a register that you have 75% of people voting out of the total number?
Right.
It has never happened. It will have been an embarrassment to the world. On the average, throughout the world, it's close to 47. UN average is around 47 to 54%. By what we are seeing, it will range around the same even though it's still high. But it would have been worse if the Electoral Commission had not been bold, if the Electoral Commission had not defied all the threats coming from the highest echelon of the NDC, to the extent that their national chairman, when he was caught on tape, it was an orchestration against the Electoral Commission. It was an orchestration to sort of intimidate them in order for them not to take the right decision for our country.
So General, you can put on record that for once, we are having a register that is not an ECOWAS register, but a fully fledged Ghanaian register because of the happenings for the past almost 40 days. I
think that it is, I cannot say for sure that it is foolproof, but I can say for sure that with this new register, it has reduced drastically this attitude of our friends from the other side, trying to bring a lot of minors, trying to infiltrate into the Senate, trying to gerrymandering issue to ensure that they get advantage in the parliamentary term. So I believe that going forward, we still have work to do.
Right.
I don't think that it is out of place if our party people on the ground can identify, because to come to the point of exhibition, can identify people who are still not qualified to be on the register in order for us to expand their names. I want to also believe that going forward, we'll strengthen the use of our identification system, either the Ghana card or the passport. Do it such that it will have integrity and support for everybody. Then we won't come back to this long period of 40 days. It has thrown our programs as a party into disarray and all that, wasting a lot of time. Look at people who even died in the process, the resources that you have to commit into it. So we won't have a situation where we have to do a mass registration or even limited registration exercise. We have a very good system that adds on and subtracts at any given point in time. I think that would be helpful. This is what the New Patriotic Party is looking for. And I know that the NDC will be kicking against all the time, but we will still force, because we've gotten to a point that with the new technology that we have, that have a facility for facial recognition, for instance, manual verification may be a thing of the past. If that is so, we can go back to this argument about no verification, no votes. You understand? So that even if you've managed to find your way in getting people who are unqualified to register, and there's vigilance on the other side. And we insist that those who are unqualified should not be allowed to come and vote. The political party or individuals will not have a way of stuffing the ballots. You understand? Of stuff, because if there's no verification, no vote, there's no way any addition to the total number that turn up at the station will be overvoting, and it will not be allowed.
Right. We will have to go on a short commercial break. But before then, let me also reiterate these numbers. Now, for the border constituencies, the numbers that we had in 2019 was 2,346,630. That is for 2019. Let me repeat it. 2,346,630. Now, fast forward to 2020, there was a reduction to about 2,144,906. These numbers are for the border constituencies. As to how there has been a reduction of about 200,000, 1,724. And in this country, it is clear that we once had a government, or we once had a party that won an election with about 40,000 and 50,000. So these numbers are huge, relevant, and very significant numbers that I think that we will have to deal with. Stay tuned. Let's go for a short commercial break. Hello, welcome back. This is Majority Caucus. My name is Vincent Eko Asifo Jr. We will play some videos for the benefit of the general public so that we will situate the discussion into a certain context. So let's stay tuned for this video.
And many people were advising me that I was brilliant, that I should go back to school. So I took the bold step and I went to Caucus the Ghana. That was 2018. And in 2019, I wrote my deed.
Right. So what you are seeing on the screen, it's the NDC General Secretary. What we just saw on the screen is the NDC General Secretary aiding some people who were being bussed from one place to the other to go and register. We have already indicated that it was the MPP's position that we will not allow this register to be an ECOWAS register. I am fully aware that there were some people who were arrested who were Ivorians, about 66 of them who were just arrested. I'm also aware that the Keita Circuit Court has also convicted quite a number of people because of going through some of these processes which are seen to be illegal. The General Secretary of the New Patriotic will throw more light on this for us. General, I just saw the General Secretary of the NDC following some people being bussed to one area to aid them to register for the voters registration.
Laws are clear that before one will be eligible to register at a polling station, he must either be 18 years or above,
right,
a Ghanaian or resident or ordinary resident.
Right.
So that if you are not a resident there, you may be a Ghanaian, fine, you may be 18 years and above, you can register there.
Yes.
To the extent that NDC parliamentary candidate for Cape Coast North has been disqualified from registering, and by extension until they appeal against it, he will not be able to stand on the ticket of the NDC, because he went and gave wrong information, misleading electoral commission, giving wrong address. When the panel sat down, they realized that it was wrong, so his card was withdrawn. Right. This is an example in Banda where people who were not resident or ordinary resident there were prevented or challenged by the agents of the MPP. Then the NDC General Secretary had to go and push his way through, almost intimidating and insulting the police or the security agencies for ensuring that our laws are respected. Right. In that same vein, a group of people like that also in a Kia bus, a Kia truck. Fortunately for them, their tire got burst. So an information got to the security agencies that these are a group of people who have managed to register. When they were accosted, close to about 66 of them were not Ghanaians, they were Ivorians who had managed to come in to register.
Yes, because this afternoon, I think you showed the names of certain people.
Yes.
By name Kwame
Kobana, Mansa, Kofi, and all kinds of
these
names.
Are irregular names.
These are irregular names as far as Ghanaians are concerned.
Right.
More to that, if you go to the Keta Circuit Courts,
right,
Nigerians and Togolese who managed to register, who were challenged and arrested, some of them have been jailed. For instance, if you take Okafor Wale, he's age 47, a Nigerian nationality. His offense was that he registered for Ghana voter ID card when not qualified to register. He's been convicted and sentenced to 2 years in hard labor by the Keta Circuit Court.
But what actually made Okafor eligible to register? Was it, did he produce his Ghana's ID, or some people guaranteed for him?
I don't have this detail, but there's an example where, for instance, Emmanuel Philip, who is a Nigerian nationality.
Right.
He registered for Ghana voter ID card when not qualified.
Right.
His case is still pending. But Jerry Azamati, 28 years, Abigail Tabo, age 20, vouched, guaranteed for Emmanuel Philip to register, knowing very well that he's not qualified. And they have also been arraigned before the Keta Circuit High Court. So possibility of the use of, and it is possible that on the blind side of everybody, this Okafor Wale may have gotten a national ID card, the Ghana card. It is possible. It is possible. For instance, if you take a voter Yaudio Don, age 22 years, nationality Togolese, offense, registered for Ghana voter ID card when not qualified, he's been convicted and sentenced to 2 years in hard labor by the Keta Circuit Court. If you take a Kwam Sena, you know, the name looks like an Ever name. Do you understand?
Right. But not all Evers are Ghanaians.
No,
there are some Evers who are
Togolese. Evers who are Beninoans.
Right.
You understand? Right. I used to know, and I thought she was an Ever.
Right.
She used to sell a roasted plantain.
Right.
Then one day, the husband died. And he told me he was going to bury the house. I said, where? He said, Benin. I said, he's been staying here, living here. Yes. He can speak Chi.
Yes.
He can speak Ga.
Yes.
He speaks the
But she's not a Ghanaian.
She's not a Ghanaian. Right. But these are people that will be encouraged by our brothers from the other side to go and register and vote. A typical example, a Kwam Sena, age 32, Togolese, offense, register for Ghana voter ID card when not qualified to register. Case is still pending. Ametema Raymond, this name, Raymond Ametema, you may think that is a Ghanaian anyway.
Right.
You understand?
Yes.
Age 33, he's a Togolese. He registered whilst he was not qualified. And the case is still there.
But General, you have been a youth organizer of the New Patriotic Party. And if you check the structure of the New Patriotic Party as far as the youth organization is concerned, people who fall within the bracket, and as per the National Youth Authority's definition of who a youth is, 18 to 35. Now, there are quite a number of our senior high school students who qualifies to register. Now, I am aware that there's a case in court by the NDC as we speak, challenging the EC not to have registered or not to register students in our various senior high school. Is it the long-standing victory of the new PP that we have always been recording our various senior high schools, or if you like our tertiary institutions that we have in the country, that the NDC is stopping the students to register?
It is something that is baffling, coming on the heels of that argument that was made by the NDC that some people are going to be disenfranchised, and they are the ones who are championing for them not to be disenfranchised. For them to kick against, and I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because it is not the first time I'm seeing this attitude coming from the NDC. Just as you said, I used to be national youth organizer of the New Patriotic Party. We always win in all the campuses that we have, including whole Polytechnic. We always win.
And all the 3 northern regions.
Always win. And I've witnessed a situation where in Achirenswa Secondary School in 2015-2016, the NDC had macho men standing at the gate of the school, whipping students who intend to go and register. Because in their view, students are always voting against them. I don't know whether it is the view that Hoy cherished, that their president didn't understand complex issues. Their president will be gazing in the air when complex issues are discussed. Their president will be playing with his toys. You understand?
Right.
So when we went for an IPAC meeting, and the Electoral Commission told us that by the COVID restrictions and measures, it will be inappropriate for the Electoral Commission not to act.
Right.
Because what it will have meant was that the students must go out of campus to go and register at nearby polling station. Note that the student qualified to register at nearby polling station because they are ordinary residents at the school that they attend. But the ordinary resident clause, the meaning of it is that in the last 5 years that you want to register, you must live in the place for an aggregate period of 1 year. So if you've been to school at one place for 3 years, on the aggregate, you qualify within 5 years to register. So the option was that the students will go out of school. Meanwhile, as part of the COVID measure, even parents are not expected to go to school to visit them. The students are not expected to go out to register. What it means is that close to 600 students will have been disenfranchised by the argument the NDC was raising. The Electoral Commission did nothing wrong. What they did was that as part of the process, the Electoral Commission created what they call mobile registration centers or mobile registration kits. That each registration center that is inundated with a lot more people than necessary, they will call the Electoral Commission. They will come in with their mobile registration kit, register people there, but not in the name of a new or different station number, in the name of the same registration number at the center. On that basis, the Electoral Commission decided that if that process exists, we must also note, before even I make that point, that out of close to 700 secondary schools that we have, close to 300 of them already are registration centers anyway. So if you go to Laboni, if you go to St. Mary's Secondary School, if you go to Caucus, all those places are registration centers over years. So it is only the 400 or 300 out of the 700 that were not registration centers. So the Electoral Commission decided that they will use their mobile registration kits to set up centers at the schools to enable the students to register.
Who qualify to register.
Who qualify to register, and they will add their names to nearby polling stations. With all this explanation, NDC knowing very well that these students, I'm not talking about whether it is because of free SHS, because they were voting against them anyway. You understand? So it is not just free SHS.
There's a video that I want the general public to see so that you will be able to end our discussions, and let's situate the discussion in a proper context. So viewers, let's see this video. This is the reason for me, in my estimation, I don't know about John Boadu, that is why the NDC probably is resisting registration in the senior high schools. John, we have 2 minutes to go.
Yeah, this is an added reason. But the NDC, as was noted by John Dumolo, for them, they don't like intellectuals. They don't have intellectuals in their parties. The bottom-up approach, the micro and macro, and all kinds of statements. But I think that is a wonderful rendition from this lady. She's very forceful, and a good number of people like that are beneficiaries of the vision of the New Patriotic Party. And I believe that these are people that we need to continue to support. So for me, it wasn't strange for me to see NDC kicking strongly against such group of people who numbers close to 600, 700,000 to have been disenfranchised. Because what they were thinking is that this case will be at the school. The school authorities will not allow them to go out of school. By the time they finish writing the exams, the registration is over. You understand? So it is unfortunate. But I'm saying, and I want to end on this note, that we commend the Electoral Commission. We will continue to monitor the activities. We will continue to provide all kinds of advice that we need to provide for them to improve on their system. I want to also use this occasion to thank and commend selfless, loyal party executives on the ground. As I went down, you can see the enthusiasm in the eyes of our people. And I must also say that contrary to the noise that the NDC were making at the top, they are pulling agents on the ground. We're collaborating and cooperating with our people. Strangely, some of them are not even NDC members. They say, oh, and all that. So I think that it's important we take note of that. I'm happy about where we are. We in the New Patriotic Party should know and know very well the elections are won when you've been declared the victors. So this is not the end. This is the beginning. Election is a process. There will be exhibition of the voters register. From 21st to 30th, there will be continuous registration for people who were quarantined for one reason or the other and all that. We must follow and continue to be vigilant, and I believe strongly that if we continue on the path that we've started, coupled with the wonderful achievement of His Excellency Abu Dhani Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I believe that the difference of 1.5 will be something will be increased. That
we'll do more than that. We are grateful, John Boadu. We are grateful, John Boadu. Let me reiterate the point that a credible voters register is sine qua non to a transparent, fair, free elections. The NPP's position over the years has always been that we should have a credible voters register. Now, the NPP, as per the General Secretary's narrative, we are vindicated about the register that we have today. Now, next week, we will come back to come and deal with other issues. This is Majority Caucus. My name is Vincent Eko Asifo Jr. Good evening.